So, you think you know the Ramayan? Well, have you ever heard of a version so ancient, so incredibly profound, that it completely mesmerized one of the most powerful gods in the entire Hindu pantheon? Today, we're diving into a story about a story. And it all begins not with a prince, but with a really strange paradox: a god, a crow, and a secret that unlocks the very first telling of this timeless epic.
Okay, so picture this. That's a quote from Lord Shiva, one of the wisest, most enlightened beings in the entire cosmos. And he's describing what it felt like to listen to a story told by a crow. Yeah, a crow. He's not just saying it was good, he's ecstatic. It's like he tasted divine nectar. And that, right there, raises a massive question.
I mean, really think about it. What could a simple bird possibly have to say that would so completely captivate a being who holds the wisdom of the entire universe? This is the mystery we're going to unpack today.
Now, the key to this whole puzzle doesn't actually start with the crow. It starts with Shiva's own consort, Parvati. She sees this whole scene playing out, her husband just totally mesmerized by this crow's tail, and, she's completely baffled. It's her confusion that really gets the ball rolling.
For Parvati, it just didn't add up. In the grand scheme of things, a crow is seen as a pretty humble creature. So how could this one particular bird be so spiritually elevated that it could hold the undivided attention of the great Lord Shiva himself? She just had to ask. And his answer? Well, it blew the lid off an incredible secret.
So Shiva explains to her, look, this isn't just any old crow, and he's not telling just any old story. This crow is the one and only narrator of a really unique text, the Kakbhushundi Ramayan. And this version is so ancient, so foundational, it has another name, the Aadi Ramayan.
The name itself tells you everything you need to know. Aadi literally means first or original. So this isn't just another retelling of the Ramayan. It's considered the source, the wellspring, the very first time the story of Lord Ram was ever told. But what exactly gives it that incredible status?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The word first here actually has a double meaning. First, the story was originally conceived in the mind of Lord Shiva himself while he was in deep meditation, so it's like the divine blueprint, existing before it was ever put into words. And then, it was first spoken in the most primal form of speech you can imagine, the guttural throat sounds of a crow. It's language at its most direct, right from the source.
So who exactly is this storyteller? The narrator is a being named Kakbhushundi, and as you've probably figured out by now, he's way more than just a bird. He is, in fact, an immortal sage living in the body of a crow.
I mean, just look at this resume. Kakbhushundi was personally blessed by Lord Ram, granted eternal life, and exists in a state of pure wisdom, completely free from worldly confusion. His spiritual level is so high that even Lord Shiva, the one who first thought of the story, praises his deep understanding and actually goes to hear him tell it.
But here's where the story takes another fascinating twist. Turns out, the most famous student to ever seek out this crow sage wasn't a human at all. It was another powerful divine being who was going through a major spiritual crisis.
And we're talking about Garud, the king of birds, the mighty eagle that serves as Lord Vishnu's own ride. So despite all his power and his closeness to the divine, Garud was just tormented by this deep, nagging doubt that he could not shake.
This was the thing that was eating him up inside. He knew that Lord Ram was an avatar of his master, Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. But he had seen Ram act, human. He'd seen him suffer and grieve, and at one point seemed totally helpless. It's a crisis of faith I think a lot of us can understand. How can the all-powerful appear so vulnerable? That contradiction was just tearing him apart.
So Garud goes on this epic quest for answers. He goes from one great sage to the next, basically climbing the entire cosmic ladder, from Narad to the creator god Brahma, all the way up to Shiva. And what's absolutely incredible is that every single one of them, the wisest beings in existence, all pointed him to the exact same place, the hermitage of the immortal crow, Kakbhushundi.
And this gets us to the absolute crucial point. Kakbhushundi's Aadi Ramayan isn't just a simple retelling of events. It wasn't written down just to document Ram's life. No, it serves a much, much deeper purpose. You could almost think of it as a kind of spiritual medicine.
This right here gets to the heart of it. A standard Ramayan will tell you what happened, the life, the deeds of Prince Ram. But the Aadi Ramayan, it's a metaphysical discourse. It's all about what it all means. It's a deep philosophical explanation,
designed specifically to cure the kind of spiritual doubt that was plaguing Garud.
To do this, Kakbhushundi's version dives into some of the biggest spiritual topics there are, but it explains them in a really simple, practical way. It clarifies the real nature of devotion, of delusion, of true knowledge, and it even reveals the all-encompassing cosmic form of Lord Ram, just to erase any doubt about who he really is.
You know, the author Tulsidas, who documented this whole account, he used this absolutely beautiful metaphor. He said the Aadi Ramayan is like a bridge. It's built to take these profound, complex spiritual truths, a river you might not be able to cross on your own, and make them accessible to absolutely everyone, even the most humble seeker.
Okay, so let's circle all the way back to our original question. Why was a god like Shiva so completely captivated by a story being told by a crow? What was he actually hearing?
And the answer is, Shiva wasn't just enjoying a performance. He was listening to the original, primordial version of his own divine insight, the actual blueprint of spiritual truth. He was hearing a masterclass in how to make the infinite understandable, a story perfectly engineered to heal the kind of deep, fundamental doubts that can shake even a divine being like Garud.
So what can we take away from all this? Well, first, true wisdom doesn't care about what you look like. The greatest teacher can show up as a humble crow. Second, our most important stories often have layers. There's the story on the surface, and then there's the deep, philosophical meaning underneath. And finally, the whole point of these narratives isn't to be complicated. It's to be a bridge, to make profound truths accessible to all of us.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. This whole story reminds us that the highest divine beings had to seek out wisdom from a source that almost anyone else would have just dismissed. So it really makes you wonder, if even the gods had to look past appearances to find the truth, where might we be overlooking it in our own lives?